Hi, my name is Whitney Akinola, and I'm a senior curriculum developer here at MuleSoft. Each quarter, MuleSoft provides a release of Anypoint Studio. This quarter's release is Anypoint Studio 7.13. And guess what? This video is all about the latest and greatest features of Anypoint Studio 7.13. I will introduce each feature and follow up with a brief demonstration to get you started. Then I will provide you with a list of UI journey fixes that were also addressed in this quarter's release. Interested? Let's get started. So what's new? With Studio 7.13, you will have access to the latest versions of the following core components: the Mule runtime, the DataWeave programming language, the API Kit toolset, and the MUnit testing framework. You will also have access to the latest featured module versions. New Studio features can be broken down into two categories: infrastructure and integration design and development. You can look at Studio as a series of editors. Infrastructure features are crucial to making Studio into an integrated development environment, or IDE, that you know today. You can also look at Studio as a container. Integration design and development features make it possible for you to design, build, and unit test your APIs and integrations. From an infrastructure perspective, the following features have been enhanced: support for the latest patches available for Mule 4.4.0 and 4.3.0 runtimes, an upgrade to Eclipse 4.2.3, and 2 JDK upgrades for versions 8 and 11. From an integration design and development perspective, the following features have been included in the latest release: visualization and debug support for shared flows, support for DataWeave libraries through the Studio user interface, new Exchange comprehensive publication features for documentation and custom fields, and fixes for 4 broken user interface journeys. When you open Studio for the first time, switch to a new workspace for the first time, or update the Studio version, the What's New in Anypoint Studio screen appears. This screen tells you about the latest features in the current release. If you scroll down, you'll see information about how to get started with Anypoint Studio. You can jump right in and learn how to build your first API or locate all developer tutorials. You can also help make a difference in Studio by providing feedback on the IDE. We want to hear from you. Lastly, if you want to return to the What's New in Anypoint Studio screen later, you can access this screen by navigating to the menu bar and selecting Help, What's New in Anypoint Studio. Now, let's dive headfirst into our first feature. It's the ability to explore and debug shared flows. When you open the shared flow in Studio 7.12, you can only see the XML configuration file. A visualization representation of the flows in the file were not available. Now, in Studio 7.13, you can see the visualizations of shared flows. Shared flows are stored as a jar file and referenced under the project library section of your project. If you expand the jar file with your shared flows, you can choose the configuration file, where you can now see the flow visualization under the message flow tab. But what about debugging? Studio 7.13 now supports visualizations during debugging of shared flows. When you debug your project, you also have the capability to debug the shared flow that is referenced by your project. Now you can see the details of connectors and flow components as you step through your shared flows. The next feature is centered around the easy management of DataWeave libraries. In Studio 7.12, you had to share DataWeave transformations by copying and pasting code or manually storing and importing modules and DWL files from one project to the next. Now you and your development team have the opportunity to first create DataWeave libraries using the DataWeave extension for Visual Studio Code. Once your DataWeave library is ready for sharing, you can then publish the library to Exchange as an asset. To reference a DataWeave library in your project from Exchange, right-click on your project. Then go to Manage Dependencies and Manage DataWeave Libraries. Next, click the plus sign and select from Exchange. Search for the desired DataWeave library and add the corresponding module. Click Finish, and finally apply and close. Imported DataWeave libraries are referenced under the Project Libraries section of your project. Now let's create a data transformation using your new DataWeave library. Start by dragging a transform message to the canvas. Import a module from your DataWeave library. And finally, make a function call with one of the functions from the newly imported module. Want to know more about DataWeave libraries? Check out the Announcing DataWeave Libraries in Exchange article on blogs.mulesoft.com and the Getting Started with the DataWeave extension for Visual Studio Code developer tutorial on developer.mulesoft.com. This release provides Exchange publication features that give you the ability to create and edit Markdown files, add a new asset icon, and add custom fields from the Publish to Exchange wizard when publishing to Exchange. New projects created in Studio 7.13 contain an Exchange Docs folder, which holds an empty home.md file. .md stands for Markdown. Now I've already opened the home.md file, and let's put some sample text in that file. Make sure to save. You can add additional resources. To do so, right-click on the Exchange Docs folder, go to New, and then select Folder. Let's name the folder Resources and click Finish. Let's drag an image to the Resources folder. I'm dragging this image here to our Resources folder. Click OK. And in Resources, we can see instructor-max.png is here. And here's our image. Next, let's link the instructor max image to our home.md file. So I'm going to add an extra return, and we'll start our markdown. We're going to call this instructor. And now we're going to put the path of the image. So the image is in our resources folder, and the name is instructor-max.png. To add additional pages, you would right-click on the Exchange Docs folder and create a new file. Remember, the file must have the extension .md. Also, the name of the file should be the name of the page. You can also add a customized icon. Now, drag your icon inside the Exchange Docs folder. So it's outside of Resources, but inside of Exchange Docs. Click OK. And let's look at our icon. Okay. Now, one thing to notice, your image should be named icon.png. The icon will only be shown in Exchange if this is the first time you're creating this asset. Now, the next step is to publish everything in Exchange. So we're going to right-click on the project and go to Anypoint Platform and Publish to Exchange. log in to Exchange or add your Exchange account if you don't already have it. And I'm going to give this a creative name instead of the name of the project. I'm going to call it Exchange Comprehensive Publication Demo. The project type, I'll choose example, and we'll go next. Now this may look familiar to you. In Studio 7.12, you can add tags and categories. Now you can also add custom fields. Custom fields are metadata fields in Exchange. They are intended to extend the Exchange asset metadata model and add custom data to any type of asset. It's important to note, both categories and custom fields cannot be created from Studio directly. Exchange administrators and organization owners can create custom fields. However, once the field is created, you can add an existing custom field to further describe your asset in Studio. Now let's go ahead and add some custom fields. So click Add Existing Custom Field, and you can see two custom fields are already created, the team type and showcase type. So for team type, this is a training, so I will choose training. And let's add the additional field, showcase type. And this is a demo, so I will choose demo. Now, for both of the custom fields, these were enum data types. Now, let's click Finish. And yes. So now we're going through the process where we're publishing to Exchange. Okay, so if I'm looking at the console logs, I can see that the publication status is completed. Also, the build was successful, and I have received a pop-up that says your project has been successfully published, and there's a link to the project. And you can actually click on this link and it will take you to your asset in Exchange. Log in if you need to. And here's our page. Exchange Comprehensive Publication Demo App. We can see our Max instructor, also our icon demo, and this was updated 2 minutes ago. For more information on how to create and manage custom fields, refer to the Manage Custom Fields page on docs.mulesoft.com. And there's good news for Mac users. Studio 7.13 now supports Mac OS 12.4, also known as Monterey, and Apple's M1 chips. Last on our agenda is user interface journey fixes. Here's a high-level list of all the journey fixes that were included in this release of Studio 7.13. First up is journey fix number 1, Exchange Asset Version. The available module section now comes with a version column. You can see the version before adding dependencies to your project. Journey fix number 2. You now have the ability to choose when to scaffold an API spec from Exchange, Design Center, or locally. Journey fix number 3. The first of 2 notifications. When creating a new API specification project, Studio notifies you that the spec is cloned. In other words, the API specification is now available in Design Center as well. And lastly, journey fix number 4. This is another notification. When testing an API, Studio warns you to turn on the mocking service. Thank you for watching the What's New in Studio 7.13 video. Today you were introduced to new features released with Anypoint Studio 7.13. You were also able to view demonstrations to get you started. Finally, you were able to see 4 user interface journey fixes that were addressed in this release. Thank you again and see you soon.